down for 6.
That's a game.
It was just a mouse. It's fine. It's fine.
All right, so fundamentals today. First of all, up step turn to the rear. We're going to demonstrate that. A hats off Ohio and a hats off rest 1, 2, 3, and we'll talk through what those are. So the first thing is going to be an up step turn to the rear. So essentially what you're doing is before you even move forward at all, before you're doing anything, the very first thing that you do in your in-place movements is actually in a marching sequence. You're going to go up, step, turn, and you're going to turn on your right foot. So watch Taylor demonstrate this here. Taylor, your drill is an up step turn to the rear into 1-8 forward, hop kick on the end. Tap, tap, tap.
Up step, turn up 1. That's it.
So again, that's, up, step, turn, and that's when your body does a full 180 pivot. Same thing with the instrument up. So Taylor, instrument's up. Taylor, your drill is an up step turn to the rear into 1-8 forward, hop kick down on the end. Tap, tap, tap.
Up 1. That's it. Up, kick, down.
Makes sense? Any questions on that? That's going to be something you'll want to practice the footwork for before you try to hold up to the instrument's up position. So vets, when you're teaching that up step turn to the rear, make sure that you're doing footwork first, then incorporate the footwork. Just get yep. So the other variation of this is an up step turn to the left or to the right. Sometimes even in drills you'll be given an up step turn to the north, south, east, or west when we're on the field, but we're kind of at a 45-degree angle to cardinal directions right now, so don't worry about that. But right now Taylor is going to demonstrate an up step turn to the left, just so you see what that looks like. Instrument's not time. Your drill is an up step turn to the left into 1-8 forward, halt kick on the end. Tap, tap, tap.
Up step, turn up 1. That's it. Up, kick.
And real quick, I just want to point out that when she did that, it was a slightly faster tempo there. Anytime you're doing an up step turn, definitely use those counts to show off your chair step, because that's a really good transition way to be like up, step, turn, and get your full flash and your full chair step all in one movement. It's a really pristine movement when it's done correctly. And then the hats off Ohio first. Hats off Ohio is going to finish with your instrument down. So we'll demonstrate that. Taylor, your drill is 1-8 mark time into a hats off Ohio on the end. Again, that drill is 1-8 mark time, then hats off Ohio on the end. Tap, tap, tap.
Up 1. Hats off. Up, kick, down 2. Hats 2. Up 2, 3, 4. Down 2, 3, 4. Up 2, 3, 4. On 2. Down 2. Ohio.
So again, that finishes with her instrument down. The other variation of that, and you'll go through all these counts with the vets when the vets start teaching this. You'll learn those counts. It's a little confusing at first. It's a longer fundamental, but you'll get the hang of it. The other variation of this is when it is actually continued into another marching drill. So I can give Taylor a hats off Ohio, hats off rest 1, 2, 3. And a hats off rest 1, 2, 3 is where you actually do an instruments up maneuver at the end of the hats off, and you continue into whatever the following drill is. So it would be hats off, rest 1, 2, 3 into an up step turn to the rear. That's actually a really common thing to do. So when you bring your instrument up, all of a sudden up, step, turn, and you start going in the other direction. Another common one is just to continue moving into forward marching. So you might be given a countdown, like right after a hats off, rest 1, 2, 3.
No, you have to put your
Yeah, so a hats off, rest 1, 2, 3. Always that 1, 2, 3 is, and you'll see this in a second. The instrument comes up with the counts 1, 2, 3 vocalized.
And you can never do a hats off Ohio with your horn starting down. Your horn always has to be up to do a hats off.
Yep. All right, so Taylor, your drill is start instrument off. Your drill is 1-8 at mark time into hats off, rest 1, 2, 3, 1-8, 4, call kick down on the end. Tap, tap, tap.
Up 1. Hats off. Up, up, kick, down 2. Hats 2. Up 2, 3, 4. Down 2, 3, 4. Up 2, 3, 4. On 2. Down 2. 1, 2, 3. Up 1. That's it. Up, up, kick, down.
Any questions on that? Does that make sense? Hats off, Ohio. You finish with your instrument down. Hats off, rest 1, 2, 3. Bring your instrument up on counts 1, 2, and 3. Should be pretty straightforward. The only thing that I would recommend for vets is that you try to tie those two fundamentals together. So try to explain what it's like to do a hats off, rest 1, 2, 3 into an up step turn to the rear.
One of the harder things with the hats off, obviously, is when you're bending down. This goes for like bass trombones too. Well, I guess all vets are bass trombones. But you want to go over your horn. Don't try to go like under it. Go bend down over your horn. The hardest part is going to be keeping this perpendicular. It tends to always kick in or kick out. I'm sure mine was kicking in a little bit or kicking out at some points.
It's something that you have to have a lot of really good control over.
Yeah, it just comes with practice. So just an FYI.
Actually, before we break up into groups, do you mind like breaking down the counts a little bit more slowly so they can see it? Okay. So starting with the instruments up, halt, kick, down, 2, hats, 2, off, and this is 4 counts, off, 2, 3, 4, down, 2, and that's where her back is perfectly parallel to the ground. 4, 2, 3, 4, up, 2, 3, 4, on, 2, and that's where, like, if you have an actual marching band hat on, it's on, 2, and you're pulling it down onto your head so that you can flash right out of it. On 2, down to Ohio, or rest 1, 2, 3. Yep.
Yes.
Any questions
Try to
on
keep your legs straight. Try not to like bend. Yeah, try to keep them as straight as not like as straight as possible where you like pass out, but like
You'll feel it in your hamstrings. Yep.
And the hats off should be 45 degrees and 45 degrees.
Yeah, so polar coordinate system, 45 degrees out, 45 degrees up. Cool, math nerds.
and that's